Good day, and welcome to an extremely spooky episode of This Just In. I'd like to begin this evening's broadcast with a special news announcement. If there are any sounds you hear in the background, it is because our studio is being overrun by small people asking for free food. I believe it's a very sad commentary on our current economic situation here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. However, on with tonight's news program. We'll begin this episode with a few notable scary issues this week, beginning with the Grave Diggers Union. A spooky title to begin with. It is written by Wes Craig, who is well known for his Deadly Class offering. If you are a fan of Deadly Class, then this will certainly be of interest to you. The arting inside is done by Toby Cypress, who is actually, I believe, all I could find was Omega Man as credentials. However, he does a great job on this issue. It's dark where it needs to be dark, and there's light touches where there also needs to be color. The issue itself is quite interesting. The Gravediggers Union look after the spooky, creepy, crawly things in our world. So if there is, for example, in this world, the vampires and the zombies, etc., they are, I believe the term in the book, they are put back in the ground by the Gravediggers Union. So it deals with these monsters that are living amongst us. I find it very similar to, if you remember, a comic called Damage Control that would kind of deal with the cleanup of a superhero battle, and there would be debris, debris in the street, that sort of thing. There's one of those poor creatures now. Then they would come and clean it up. It's very similar with Gravediggers Union. When there is monsters that need to be dealt with and then put away, so to speak, it's the Gravediggers Union that is called upon. Certainly, I would, as I said, recommend this book. It was very entertaining for the first issue. It's a very large issue, still at a regular $3.99 US price. It's 30 plus pages, so 30 regular pages plus a bit of reading content at the beginning and the end of this book. So you're certainly getting your money's worth, and those 30 pages are actually of quality, so you're really getting your money's worth. A very interesting note is Wes Craig actually did the cover as well as the first 5 pages of the book. And they're a bit of a different, separate from the rest of the story. It almost gives this history, I'm not sure, of these monsters. Are they living on Earth? Is it another planet? And they may have been here even before man, as they're getting these ape/monkeys to do their bidding. So it kind of gives you a brief history. We aren't really told exactly what that is, and it may become clear in later issues. My next fascinating offering is Dead Man by Neil Adams. This is actually the glow-in-the-dark cover, and it is a very, very cool cover with the lights out. It's a cool cover with the lights on, too. I love the cover. I won't show you here. I'm not sure if it would even show up. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if that worked. We need a bigger, better special effects budget. Anyway, Dead Man #1, it is an entire offering from Neil Adams, meaning he did the pencils, the coloring, the ink, the story writing, etc. We've seen him do this in the past with Batman Odyssey. Not really something I was interested in. Actually, I was excited when it came out. But I think it led me and many other readers astray, perhaps. Neil Adams is obviously known for his Batman work. He has a history with creating the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul. So he has this long history with the Batman character. he actually, prior to Batman and his stories in the Lantern, Arrow crossovers, etc., and his arting there, he actually worked on Dead Man, and it was Strange Adventures number 206, which was actually the second appearance of Dead Man. 205 was the first, which he didn't work on. I believe it was Carmen Infantino. But this issue is some pretty cool arting, but once again, as with Batman Odyssey, probably not the strongest story, and it becomes a bit discombobulated and difficult to follow, very similar to the way Batman Odyssey was. I am looking forward to the next issue. You know, he had his early start with Dead Man, so obviously he has some interest in this character. Hook makes a reappearance, who is kind of the Dead Man's first villain. He actually killed Boston Brand and turned him into Dead Man. He makes an appearance in this book. There's also the League of Assassins make an appearance in this book, which, as I previously mentioned, helped create. So there's a lot of cool things, a lot of cool comic history. If you are a Neil Adams fan, Dead Man fan, Batman fan, you know, they all kind of collide in this book, but in a very difficult to read manner. I am, however, going to give it till issue 2 and 3 and probably 4 and 5. Let's be honest. It is a 6-issue limited series, so why would I stop at 5? We'll continue on from there. I will read all of it, but darn it, I may not like all of it. Our other scary story this week has been in the Dark Knights. It's Batman the Devastator. These have been a bit lukewarm for me. They've been hit or miss with some of the different tales that have been told in these one-shots. However, this one I did love. It is, let me just check my notes, it's Tony Daniel that does the pencils, and that is never a bad thing. And it's James Tynion who does the storytelling. And I'm a big James Tynion fan of both his mainstream and independent work. So this is this by no surprise was a pretty cool read. So I'm not exactly sure if it's Earth 1 or Earth -1 or Dark Multiverse Earth 1, what have you. But the story is that in order to defeat a rogue Superman, I mean, we know it's Batman that becomes all these different Justice League characters, so there's no spoiler alerts, but in order to defeat his Earth's rogue Superman, he must infect himself with the Doomsday virus and therefore become Doomsday Batman. There's no spoiler alerts. If you've read any of these one-shots, it should be no surprise. So it's pretty cool to see Batman as Doomsday and the battle that ensues between Batman and Superman after that. So as I said, I haven't been super excited about all of the one-shots around Dark Knights, but that one certainly was worth reading. The next issue, I just picked this up randomly. I had no idea what was between the covers. I had read, I believe, up to issue 3 of Chip Zdarsky's Spectacular Spider-Man. This is issue 6. And I was very excited out of the gate. Chip is a really cool artist, and even I believe he has collaborative writing on the Sex Criminals, which is hilarious and well drawn. And so I was really looking forward to his interpretation of Spider-Man with his witty sense of humor. However, I was disappointed. Maybe it was a bit too slapsticky. I was looking forward to a Spider-Man of old, you know, the wisecracking Spider-Man, but, you know, perhaps not. I don't know. There was just something that was off in those first few issues, and I did wane as a reader. However, I did pick up this issue, and probably because of the Norman Rockwell style of cover, I thought was really cool. And then once I got into it, I like the arting. I like the kind of skinny, awkward Spider-Man figure. Really cool. The premise of it is Spider-Man sits down for dinner for lasagna with none other than J. Jonah Jameson, who wants to interview him in exchange for information. Quite clever banter back and forth between the two. Obviously, they have a long history there. It goes from funny to emotional fairly quickly in the story. So that surprised me a little. And normally Chip is known for his off-the-wall zaniness, but it got real pretty quick in here and emotional, and I found that very interesting. And then there's a shocking surprise that I was not prepared for at the end. And if you are a fan of Spider-Man, if you are a fan of Marvel, if you are a fan of comic book genre in general, if the medium of comic books, pardon me, if you are a fan of any of that, you got to pick up this issue for sure. You will not be disappointed. There's some great surprises in it. Boom, my pick of the week. Then we'll go into this week's fancy lenticular Marvel covers. This one, we'll just do these quickly, and I have to refer to my notes. So this is Spider-Man 234. Bendis was such a champ to me. I loved him in his early stuff. Goldfish, Powers, before he hit the mainstream. His dialogue is amazing. His character development is amazing. However, I think he was just spreading himself too thin lately over numerous titles. This, I haven't been reading it, so it's really out of context for me. But once again, I did enjoy his banter, his characterization. I'm not a huge Miles Morales Spider-Man fan, but this was a very good story, and it made me interested in certainly. Oh man, I just bent that lenticulars. 9.6 now. Made me interested in reading some more of it. There's some, I guess, for me, might be new villains in here. Some of you may already know. There's new teams, new characters. Some people reveal themselves. This is an issue worth picking up if you're even thinking investment. Certainly, these two issues will be some talked about issues in years to come. Maybe not this one as much, but there will be some important characters in that. The next one is Guardians of the Galaxy. Awesome, cool cover. Some of these I'm not even sure what the, some of them make sense as to why they chose the two covers that they did. This one, it's a Sinister Six original cover and probably a new Sinister Six team in that issue. This one with Infinity Gauntlet is one of my favorite covers, and then this is the Guardians cover on the inside. Relevance not as tight on that one. However, inside some of the cool things in here, where the Guardians where the Nova Corps group is located now. Very cool. The Guardians are part of the Nova Corps now, and they meet up with an old foe in space. Ant-Man is on the team. Again, I haven't been following Guardians, and I'm getting back into a lot of Marvel titles with the Marvel Legacy. Ant-Man's on the team. Not sure how he got there, but at least it's not Venom or some of the other weird things that have happened in the past. So it was entertaining, and once again, I look forward to some future issues of it. Cap America 695, Mark Waid and Chris Samney. They kind of just shared storytelling credit, and I assume Chris Samney did the art on it, which is quite nice, the art in here. Again, sometimes it's like, why did they choose those two covers? So you have Iron Man 126, one of my all-time favorite Iron Man covers on there, and then this is what the Cap America cover swipe looks like. I guess the relevance is the return of the hero, etc., etc. And this is a one-shot story, which comics don't really do anymore because you can't put it in a graphic novel. So it was kind of cool. I love one-shots. It reminds me of reading comics as a kid. And this was just a fun Cap America story, and kind of the prelude to his return. It gets into a story arc issue after this, but this is just a fun story to start on again if you've been a Captain America fan who's wandered, let's say. Worth picking up. Great cover. Don't forget that cover. Well, that is our show for the day, the evening, for the week of November 1st. And thank you very much for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you next week. Good day.